joining us here for the hearing regarding a considered proposed 0.5% increase to the sales and use tax to be levied. I'd like to call this public hearing to order. This hearing is being held in accordance with section 5739.026A3 and 5741.023 of the Ohio Revised Code for the primary purpose of hearing endorsements and or objections to a proposed increase in the Lake County sales tax, and this meeting will be recorded. The clerk will please read the verification of publication from the News Herald. This can be waived if that is desire of the board.
Vote to waive.
Motion.
Motion to waive.
I'll second.
Discussion? Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Tyler.
Here.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, we're at a good point where we can give a little bit of history, and I can't think of two better people to speak on this issue than our Sheriff Leon Bruno and our Prosecutor Charles Colson. So, gentlemen, you want to give a little bit of background on the demands and the burden associated with our general fund, but as it comes respectfully to your departments? Thank you, sir.
The criminal justice system, I'm told, takes up about 65%, 67% of the general fund. And I have concerns where we're moving forward in some of the costs that are not only ongoing but upcoming. In my 33 years of experience with the Lake County Sheriff's Office, criminals look for every opportunity they can to see weakness and move in to exploit it. So communities such as Lake County really rely on the strength of their security to ensure the growth of business, to raise families, and build community support here. And I see really those three areas are policing, prosecution, and our court systems. Safe neighborhoods, to me, begin with a visible presence of law enforcement on the street that's well equipped with proper tools to do their work, that have good cultural excellence in their organizations, that attract good men and women to the field, and that will stay here for their entire career. 46% of all serious crimes, felonies in Lake County, are committed by people who live outside Lake County. And criminals that are arrested from Cuyahoga County who have come here to commit crime are surprised when they find out they're in Lake County. And they say, well, oh, I thought I was in Cuyahoga County. I'm going to jail. I don't go to jail in Lake County. I mean, in Cuyahoga County. I go to jail in Lake County. And that's 46% of people committing crime that are afraid to come here to commit crime. If they see weaknesses, that's going to grow exponentially. We see that's happening in our cities. Today, we have a real problem attracting people into the field. At one point, we were down 20 corrections officers out of 74. We were down 20. We used to get 100 applications for 2 jobs. Now we have 20 jobs and we get 1 or 2 applications to be able to fill that. Why? Outside this county, corrections officers make between $10,000 and $12,000 more a year. There's already a problem attracting people, but now we're competing and we can't find nurses because nursing is paid so well outside, and we need 5 nurses. It took us 2 years to find 2 nurses to fill open positions, 2 years. That affects our ability to provide medical services, and that brings litigation to the county itself. Our deputy sheriffs currently make $16,000 to $20,000 less a year than West End police departments. And so when you're trying to track people in to apply for jobs, they're not applying. We have to equip our deputies. We're asking deputies and police officers to go into mass shootings, whether that's at schools, whether that's at large businesses, and they're willing to go in solo to do that. Problem is, we need to equip them with proper equipment, whether that's ballistic vests that are hardened for rifle shots, because you can't send deputies into with a handgun to face a semi-automatic rifle. We can't do that today. We need to provide them with the equipment to be able to do that. Computerization it's becoming extremely costly. We have to upgrade CAD. CAD is our computer-aided dispatch to bring police and fire services in an efficient manner. It's going to be $2 million to do that when you include the software, the hardware, excuse me, and the training involved in that. Next Gen 911, next generation 911 services are about a year away. When that comes, it's going to mean increased staffing in terms of our dispatchers, a change in our hardware. We're going to be able to have to answer text messages coming into a dispatch center. If somebody wants to do a FaceTime coming in to a dispatch center, we have to have people there to answer that and to respond to those. Not only the 911 call, it's going to change the scope of how we're able to handle those such services. So law enforcement, we need proper funding for it. The second arm of this is the prosecutors. If you have police officers making the arrest, then you have prosecutors. We need to have prosecutors to take the cases. And they need to be skilled prosecutors to be able to do that. If we can't do the cases, present them in a timely manner, people walk away from that. We see that happening in our large cities. People are plea bargained out. People are being let go because the time runs out. Right now, and I'll let him certainly discuss this, but our prosecutor can't get people to apply. Our prosecutors are well underfunded, and there's not enough of them to take the increase in cases. Why is there an increase in cases? When I started in the 1980s, we had 100 people in the jail in Lake County who were from Lake County courts. Today, we have nearly 350 people to 380 sitting in our jail who are all Lake County court system inmates. We've tripled that number, but we haven't seen the growth exponentially of prosecutors being able to handle these cases. And they're more serious. We used to house 2/3 misdemeanors, minor crimes. Now we have 2/3 felons in our jails. The serious crimes are on the rise, and we need prosecutors to be able to do that. And not only the serious cases, the minor cases need to be taken care of, because our citizens, those are important cases to them. They may not be on that scale, but they want their misdemeanors addressed. And so we need prosecutors to be able to do that. We need a strong court system. We need excellent jurists to be able to do that, who can bring these cases in a timely manner, get them through the court system, have fair trials, but have fair punishments in some place to put offenders that are not overcrowded. So there's so many costs involved. I think too often we take criminal justice for granted in our county. Not necessarily in our county. Let me go back on that, because Lake County is very supportive of our criminal justice system. I just don't think people are aware of the cost involved in that. But when you go outside, you see what's happening in our large cities. It's coming to Lake County. There is a growth coming here, and if we don't have those three facets taken care of, we're going to see that 46% of serious crime rise to great levels. We've seen it happen in 2 years in our cities. And Lake County needs to guard against that by proper funding. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Prosecutor Colson. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Glad to be here. I kind of want to pick up the thread that I started back in August when I met with the three commissioners and explained to them the world for prosecution, the world for law enforcement, and how it has changed. As the sheriff alluded to, it wasn't long ago when there was a posting for openings for police departments and civil service exams to be taken. There were hundreds of applicants. Now there are maybe dozens if you're lucky. Once there was a time, just 3 years ago, where if I had an opening for an assistant prosecutor, all I had to do was put out a notice in the law schools just in the northern Ohio area, and I would have more resumes than I could deal with. And I would have the pick of the people I wanted to hire. Something has changed in America. For some reason, people don't want to be police officers. For some reason, lawyers coming out of law school do not want to be prosecutors. And I think that reason is pretty evident. There's an anti-law enforcement thread going through our country. And it's making our job much harder because we can't attract people. And in the prosecutor's office specifically, if there are fewer attorneys who are graduating from law school who want to be prosecutors, and we have the same number of prosecutors' offices, that means we're all competing for a much smaller group. And the salaries have been rising, quite rapidly through all of the larger the counties. I check them regularly. Cuyahoga County, Summit County, Portage County, the counties that have a larger population, like Lake County. We're the 11th largest county in the state of Ohio, population-wise. I think we're the 7th wealthiest, population-wise. But yet we're coming to a point in our criminal justice system where we have to start spending more money. I will say that I don't think that the past boards of commissioners have spent sufficient to keep up with it, and we need to find the additional revenue so that we can keep up with the necessities for law enforcement. I've been trying to hire a prosecutor for 2 years. Actually, I've been trying to hire 2 prosecutors for a year. Excuse me, I said that backwards. I've been trying to hire 2 prosecutors for a year. It took me almost a year to find 2. But in the meantime, I had 3 resign to go to different government offices at higher fees. So I'm still at a net deficit. I don't have the depth of personnel that I need to prosecute. If everybody is healthy, and if nobody goes on vacation, and if nobody gets pregnant, then we manage. But we need depth because people do go on vacation, people do get sick, and quite frankly, I have 4 assistant prosecutors right now that are going to be taking 12 weeks of maternity leave all this spring. If I lose 4 people, it becomes almost impossible to make sure we get the job done correctly. So what we need to do is create, and the only way that I know to do it, to create a stronger prosecutor's office so we can continue to be as tough as we are, because we are tough on crime. In Lake County, if you commit a crime, you're held responsible. We don't plea bargain it away like some of the other counties. And I'm not trying to disparage counties like Cuyahoga County. You know, they have so many cases. They can't do anything but that. But we can hold people accountable, and we do. And it's not just the prosecutor's office. It's the police, the sheriff's department that are doing that, and it's the judges backing up the prosecutor's office when we do make those recommendations, and we do prosecute a case, and we do want to go to trial, because we do go to trial in Lake County. Some counties don't even have trials. They just plea bargain everything away. We want to hold them responsible. So it's a group effort. It takes for the justice system. It's a group effort between the 3: the police, the sheriff, the prosecutors, and the judges. And I just was talking to a judge not too long ago who needs to hire a new staff attorney, and he can't find one because the competition he's seeing is the federal court in Cleveland, who pays like staff attorneys right out of law school $150,000 a year. And I forget what his budget was, but it's somewhere in the $60,000 range. He's not going to get a staff attorney. He's still looking for one, as far as I know. I know in the prosecutor's office, and as I explained to you back in August, right now we have built up, I think, the strongest core of prosecutors I've had since I've been in office. And I've been in office now 28 years. We have some of the best talent we've ever had. We have some of the most aggressive and competent trial attorneys, and we need to keep them. We need to keep them. We can't keep losing them to higher paying jobs in other places. And so that just means we have to increase our budget. The only way that I know how to compete with the other counties is to raise the salaries. I don't know any other way to do that. I can't tell you how many people that I interviewed, and they just don't want the job for what we can offer them. And we have to keep them. We have to keep our experienced people, because we want career people. In the sheriff's office, they want career people. They want people that are going to start in the sheriff's office and grow and get experience, and then raise in ranks through the sergeants, through the officers, the lieutenants, and maybe someday be a new sheriff. Long time from now, sheriff, I hope. And the same thing with the prosecutor's office. We want people who are dedicated to Lake County, who care about Lake County and want to make sure this is a safe community. Because if we have a safe community, that's better economically for the whole community. People are going to want to move in here. People want to go to school here. People are going to start businesses here. People are going to come and shop here if they know it's safe. And so I think that this proposed tax increase is absolutely necessary for the criminal justice system in Lake County. If we're going to stay at the same level we are now, in fact, if we want to improve, we have to have it. And so I'm very much in support of this sales tax because I know that this is what the criminal justice system in Lake County needs. And I know there are other requirements that the commissioners have to consider besides the criminal justice system, and that is going to attack the general fund and be a strain on the general fund. But law enforcement has to come first, because that's the most important. The most important function of government is the protection of its people. And in Lake County, that we protect them through our criminal justice system. And so I'm very in favor of it. And if you have any specific questions, I'd be glad to answer them for you.
Very good, thank you, sir. If I could, gentlemen, do you have anything you want to add, or you want to give some background? I'll go with the background. Okay, well, what we just heard was two examples of the growing burden on our general fund. This is not being an alarmist. This is not being presented for dramatic effect. The frequency and severity of crime is on the rise. Lake County is the 11th most populous county in the state of Ohio, although we are geographically the smallest. The general fund faces a number of demands and burdens that need to be addressed over the long term to address sustainability concerns. The sales and use tax is the primary funding source for the Lake County General Fund. The current rate for the county is 1.0%. There are 21 other counties at or below this rate. It should be noted that there are 53 counties that are at or above 1.5%. Lake County does not receive income tax, and we only receive 11 cents on the dollar of the state local government funds, a figure that has been consistent since the mid-1980s. One of the primary challenges is the investment in our criminal justice system, as you've heard presented here today. Our public safety system is essential. Our courts, our sheriff, our prosecutor, our coroner for that matter, our public defender. Multiple departments have expressed concerns on how to maintain the level of services that our residents and businesses have become accustomed to. You've heard it said here today that we are having challenges retaining and attracting employees in all of our departments. This is common, but this is a growing problem. You've heard it said here today that 46% of our felons are from outside of Lake County. We are experiencing increased costs associated with 911 and the migration to the next generation 911 technologies. You've heard it here said today that we have a number of software upgrades that are going on with our sheriff's department, our courts, our dispatch. We also have many capital projects. The general fund is responsible for day-to-day long-term improvements in our county facilities. Our Lake County Emergency Operations Center is over 30 years old. The estimated replacement cost of this facility is going to be over $20 million. Economic development. Public safety is an essential investment in any economic development plan. Businesses, they have come to expect a high level of public safety. Another example is our Lake County Executive Airport. Lake County is a co-sponsor of this facility, and this is a key element for the long-term economic development of Lake County. The recent improvements to the airport and the master plan notes millions of dollars of capital and other operational upgrades that will be financed via the general fund. Gentlemen, anything else you want to add?
I've been saying it for at least a year now, that if we don't have provide a safe environment, we can't do anything else. I think we've seen, this is something we've been talked about for how long now, Mr. President? At this table.
Very long time.
From the outside looking in. And until I think the prosecutor brought his people in here in August, I think it really focused what we need to do or how we need to proceed. The fact is, we are underpaid, and a lot of it's out of our hands. We have all 8 bargaining units in the Sheriff's Department coming up this year. If anybody knows how that works, you go sit and negotiate. If it doesn't work out, you go to fact finding, then you go to arbitration, and a third party dictates what we pay, how much the raise is, and all those kind of things that happen. It's out of our hands, and we know from what we're seeing right now in the state of Ohio, it's not going to be a small number this time. How do we prepare for that? How do we go 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and be able to pay these people? Because it doesn't go down. It never goes backwards. Those are some of the things that all municipalities have to work on too. The shortage of police officers. I took some notes, and Sheriff, if you help me, the thing that's stuck out to me recently is, what's the average length of corrections person and that we have currently?
10 years ago, we averaged 15 years experience on our deputies. Today, that's 5 years or less. 10 years ago, we averaged about the same in corrections. Right now, our average length of service is 4 years. And 50 of the 74 corrections officers have less than 2 years experience.
I find that a bit alarming, because in 10 years from now, as the sheriff said, we used to test for 200 people would take the test. We would cap it off. In a city like Willowick, in a city like Wickliffe, we would cap those numbers because you can't handle anymore. We'll get 8 if we're lucky to take a test. Are we getting the best of the best? Are we taking the best we have? And this is throughout the United States. It's an epidemic of people who wants to do these jobs. They've made it incredibly hard to do these jobs. So you have to find the right people. It's harder to do now, and we won't know how those people emerge as leaders until 10 years from now. Because those are the ones that are going to be running our departments, our sheriff's department. You're not going to be around forever, Sheriff. But those are things that we have to, also look and take into account for. Prosecutors, there's no reason for them to come here and make $66,000 a year. I think some of the secretaries in these buildings and the people, staff make more money than that coming, and they didn't go to law school. They didn't pay the fees to go to law school. So those are all things we have to consider here on top of the list of expenditures that we have. Software is now a different game. You don't buy software, we lease it. It's monthly lease. If you have Microsoft Word now, you don't pay for the program, you get to keep it until it's out of date. You pay a monthly fee now. So any software we buy, if it's a $2 million piece of software, there's also maintenance fees that we pay every year after year. That's not going away. So it's a scary time. We've come through a scary time these last few years, and we don't know where it's going to shake out.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tyler?
Yeah, as the sheriff noted, we have a lot of fiscal challenges facing the county as well as the prosecutor, and quite a few capital projects that the list is growing monthly. But we are here. This is a public hearing to consider the proposed 0.5% increase to the sales and use tax. So we do have a hard stop with our commissioners meeting. So I would like to hear from the public and see what they have to say.
Very good. And with that, audience members wishing to comment on a proposed increase to the Lake County sales and use tax are invited to speak at this time, or an agent may speak on their behalf. After stating their name and address in full in a clear and distinct voice for the record. The board requests that each person speak only once unless adding a statement for the record not previously made. Each person's comment shall not exceed 5 minutes. Anyone from the audience wishing to address the board at this time? Sir.
Good morning, Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. I personally had a tour for over an hour at the jail, and I'd like to thank the sheriff for making that possible, and for Captain Brooks and Deputy Aldridge, I believe it was, that gave me a great tour and a better understanding of the jail. Again, as an average citizen, there's many things that I really didn't realize, and I think probably many of the Lake County residents don't realize what the jail does. We started our tour at the on the roof, because I always heard that the roof was a problem. I wanted to see for myself, and I can just tell the commissioners and the public, it's an absolute disaster, and the only thing worth saving with that building are the people that are working in it. There are a couple impressions that I have. The jail is immaculate. I was amazed of how clean it is, and that's probably Captain Brooks and Sheriff Liam Bruno making that happen. There wasn't a scrap on the floor or anything, so they're to be commended for that. The other thing that I realized was the space. I was only in there for an hour, but I didn't feel safe in there. And I can only imagine what the deputies that are tasked with performing all of those duties, how they feel. And I can understand why it is very difficult to attract and retain employees if you have that work environment. I did not realize that, I think they had 427 people. We've got to feed those people 3 times a day. That in itself is a monumental task, and you can see the space that they try to operate in. It's amazing that they get it done. The other area that was really, truly amazing to me was the medical. I didn't realize that the state mandates that we provide dental, medical care, and we also have to care for someone that is extremely ill. I saw 2 inmates, I guess we call them patients now, that were in beds. I didn't realize that really happens in the jail. I thought they were sent into a hospital, and a hospital ward, but no, that is a responsibility of the jail, which requires medical personnel, which adds, but the medical personnel that I saw, they were working in nothing larger than a closet. I mean, I made the joke, you got to take a number to get in here to take turns to work. So the work that they do is truly amazing. So I can say without any hesitation, we need a new jail. The question I have is regarding the incarceration versus the rehabilitation model, and how do we pay for it? Regarding the dollars and cents, I've been trying to determine how much cash do our political subdivisions have? You know, be they, Lake Tran and Community College and Deepwood, they have been extracting money from the taxpayers over the years and have been accumulating that. And talk about Deepwood with the 55 million, we've got Lake Metro Parks with 19 to 20 million. Lake Tran is 41 million, and by 2027, they're going to have 57 million. So, and I'm looking for public records from Lakeland to, and my point is, and I'm trying to find out, and I will be meeting with Auditor Galloway after the meetings today, because I want to find out, well, how much cash do we really have at our disposal? Can we write a check for it? No one's been able to tell me yes or no. Or do we really have to go for a 0.5% sales tax, which is going to impact citizens, it's going to impact the business community also. The other issue that I have is, I hope I'm not exceeding my time limit, Commissioner Hemmercheck.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, well, just get your hook out if you're...
Keep going.
The incarceration versus rehabilitation model, I try to find out what some statistics...
It is time, but please continue your closing statement. We would like to hear it.
You would like me to continue?
Please continue it, but if you can make it brief, we'd appreciate it.
Okay. I'll just say that I try to find statistics for the rehabilitation model. I guess we do provide rehabilitation for the drug and alcohol abuse. 85% of the prisoners right now are in the jail for 30 days or less, so I'm not sure how much rehabilitation is done in the 30 days. They probably go on probation. I don't know for sure, but that would be the logical. And I asked the question of the Adams Board, and thanks to Kim Fraser for being very kind and being very responsive and getting me the statistics, but what she said, the recidivism rate for the 2 years that they were tracking, one was 63% and the other was 85%, and that is the inmates will be back in jail within the 3-year period. So I will continue to do the research, but I wanted to make sure that the community knows, as an average citizen, I can say that the jail needs to be replaced. Thank you very much.
If I could, first off, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to go to jail. That's enlightening. That's eye-opening.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I appreciate you taking the time to do that and report to the board what you saw. And second, if I could comment just briefly with regard to the other entities throughout Lake County, the proposed sales tax is to supplement, to augment the general fund. And we cannot use those funds to operate the county. So those are different.
I understand, but I understand it. It's not that I'm saying that everybody's going to pass the basket and you're going to have more money.
I just didn't want that it should be clouded.
Yeah, that my concern is that so much money has been extracted from the citizens, there's only so much to give. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your comments.
And if I may, while we have our prosecutor present, can you just put this to bed once and for all, that this Board of Commissioners cannot use monies from a separate political subdivision for any other purpose? Can you please help put that to bed?
That's correct. It would be illegal to expend those funds for you. They're just not available.
Thanks. I apologize, Mr. Massey, but that keeps coming up, and we keep hearing, let's talk to the auditor, let's talk to the treasurer. We've got the prosecutor sitting here himself, and I figured let's hear it from our top legal man in the house. So, all right, with that, do we have anyone else wishing to address the board? Sir.
John Music, 45 Coventry Drive, Painesville Township. As you know, I've been speaking up here for a long time, and I have said way back when, there's nothing more important than law enforcement, nothing in the county. That's their job, is to protect the people, because you see postal workers getting shot and robbed, and you see firemen getting shot. I talk with a group of people once a week from all over the country, and some from other countries, and do not ever think that the problems they're having in other places in this country will not come to Lake County. You're very I don't want to use the terminology, but the thing about it is and it will happen. We have a great sheriff, prosecutor, and we have great county judges. We cannot, it takes all three to maintain law and order. Any failure at any of those levels, our law enforcement will be gone. And the thing about it is, only thing I am asking, I support the jail. I took a tour of it when it was built. When they built the emergency center over in Garfield, I did a lot of work over there when they were going in over there. And the thing about it is, nothing lasts forever. And maybe we ought to go to the General Assembly and start looking at how we give some funds to the law enforcement. It's like the sheriff says, he's getting more and more females, and then when you have male and females, you got to do various things also, which takes up more room. So the thing about it is, you look across the country, and the number of people breaking our laws, well, if you don't steal something for over 1,000, you get away with it. I have said forever, transparency, oversight, and accountability. If there are no consequences for breaking the laws, it's only going to get worse. And I've said this before, lawlessness breeds more lawlessness. We have no choice. Shoplifting has gone up. Talk to some of the people in the stores. And the thing about it is, I don't want to say you don't have any choice, but we must give the law enforcement, all three levels, the tools they need to do their job. It's that simple. There's nothing more important in this county to protect the people and our kids and everybody else. We must do that. And especially when it comes to the funding, all I can say is asking for the three of you is to make it the less effective that affects the citizens of this county, and especially the seniors. The seniors are having a tough time right now with the inflation and all this other stuff, the GDP and everything that's out there. They're having a tough time. A dollar doesn't buy what it used to buy. And when you're on a fixed income probably for the rest of your life, it makes it tough. But I support the new jail. I support the sales tax. I think that'd probably be the least amount of effect on the people here in Lake County. So do what you have to do. Only thing I'm also asking is regards to some of the other spending you do over the years, and I've been coming here since 2005. So the thing about it is, maybe we should cut back some of this and direct more towards law enforcement, because law enforcement has a bigger job than they had 10, 15, 20 years ago. Maybe even 5 years ago. But the thing about it is, they still have got to do it. And it is going to be more costlier. Of course it is, because they got more to do. But like I said, we've got to give them the tools to do their job. No ifs, ands, or buts. We've got to do this, or we will no longer have a safe community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President.
Sir.
I'd like to just back up what Mr. Music said.
Yes, sir.
Or to add to it. Luckily, last week when we were at the CCAO conference, they are lobbying the state for more funds for jails as one of their priorities. They have 3 priorities. The other one is to restore the local government fund. I'm not going to hold my breath for either. But that is something right now the state gives about $50 million in grants. There's 52 counties asking for money. So if you divide that up, however they do it, I don't know how they're going to choose that. It's not a whole lot of money to do much of anything on any of these systems. So the jail system is statewide is a problem, and they see that. But they're asking the governor to put more into that, and whether he will or not, we won't know. So that's something that as a group of commissioners throughout the state, they're asking, and the local government fund too would give more money to put into a general fund. Not, as the Commissioner Hamercheck stated, that it would increase not only the counties, we get 11 cents on a dollar in that, but each of the municipalities, we're all going through the same thing in their police departments. Everyone's in the same boat here, and that's the hard part about this.
And if I may just put a little finer point on that, you make an excellent point. Of the local government fund, Lake County operates under what's called the alternate formula. So when you hear us talking about 11 cents on the dollar, the other 89 cents by agreement is automatically sent out to the separate political subdivisions in Lake County, the other local governments. So again, every dollar that comes in, 11 cents approximately stays with the county. The other 89 cents goes out to the other municipalities. Commissioner
Well,
Tyler?
regarding the alternate formula, Commissioner Regovich and I both were former mayors, and we appreciate all the local government funding coming into the cities, although it's been cut substantially over the last 15 plus years.
By the state.
By the state, yes. It's unfortunate more didn't come to the county, but the cities need it as well. So that's, I just wish that the state would revisit it and make it whole again, back to what the original funding was, at that point in time. With regard to Mr. Music's comments, thanks again, Mr. Music, for your comments. And some of them are really ring home with me. My wife and I just became seniors this year. So impact on seniors is particularly important to me as well. So I appreciate your position on that. And I just want to stress again that this proposal is to supplement current and future obligation of the general fund. So this is for every department across the county. And we can't emphasize that enough. Every department has their needs. We have capital projects across the board, which we are going to struggle with finding money to implement necessary projects. So those are the challenges we're facing at this point.
Well said. Anyone else in the audience wishing to address this report? Anyone else in the audience? Thank you for attending. Okay, the board will now receive any written comments on the proposed increase to the Lake County sales and use tax. Madam Clerk?
Yes, the board did receive a phone call, a postcard in the mail, and a few emails. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. The Board of County Commissioners will not make any decision on a proposed increase in the Lake County sales and use tax at this hearing. Additional written endorsements and/or objections may be sent to the clerk of the Board of Lake County Commissioners, 105 Main Street, 5th floor, Building A, Lake County Administration Center, Painesville, Ohio, 44057, or email to jennifer.bell@lakecounty.ohio.gov. Any such written endorsements and/or objections must be received by the end of business on 4:30 p.m. on December 27th, 2022. And with that, this meeting and public hearing now stands adjourned. Thank you for joining us today.